Well, back again, guys. What I was going to do this time is just have a little bit of a chat on how I catch one of my favourite fish. Mackerel season stuff is going to be winding down soon. Winter's going to be coming around, and it will be time to go chase my favourite fish. I'm hoping the weather's good and I can get a few trips to try and show you guys. But to start off with, we'll just have a little chat. Okay, and my favourite fish to chase are cobia. And the reason I like chasing cobia over all the other species is I find them a challenge. Yes, you can catch them all year round, but over summer, I like when people are chasing mackerel down Palm Beach. You're getting little ones like 6, 8, 10 kilo ones. You're out chasing marlin on spot eggs, you can usually catch like 10 to 15 kilo ones. Nice fish, don't get me wrong, but small and summertime fish. And over winter, when the whale sharp, I like to chase the big girls. And I'm talking 30 kilo plus fish. And trying to find a fish that size, it is a challenge. And it's one I'd rather enjoy. I'd rather go out and spend a few days looking for one big fish than going out, dropping a bait down and catching 5, 6, 10 friggin' little 10, like little school Jew, 10 kilo Jew. That's just too easy. So, that being said, with my favourite fishing time of year nearly upon us again, I'll just give you a quick rundown of the rigs I use, setups, and a quick chat on them, and hopefully later in the season we'll catch a few, or catch one, or some. Anyway, first of all, when I'm chasing cobia, I usually like to run at least 3 rods, sometimes 4. And the rigs are always the same, except the only thing I do different is the sinker size. So basically when I'm chasing cobia, I find the spot where I'm going to fish. I know there's bait there, I know there's cobia on the sounder, because generally you can mark cobia, they'll come up as like arches. On most sounders there'll be an arch, and usually when around a bait ball you'll see 2 or 3 or 4 arches. And when I find that, I'll anchor on them, or spot lock, and then I'll put 4 baits down. So with these outfits, I've only got 2 here, but generally I run 3, sometimes 4. I'll put a big sinker on, and with the biggest bait, so hopefully if I've got a big tailor or a big slimy or even a trevally, silver trevally we catch here for the Gold Coast, don't be scared to put it down. First tip is, when you catch a big bait, trevally, tailor, even big slimy, just cut the tail fins like in half. Don't cut the actual flesh, just the fins itself. Just cut them in half with a pair of scissors. And when you put them down, that'll stop them swimming all over the ocean. They'll sit down there, they'll kick like mad, plenty of vibrations. But with a big sinker on their nose, they can't really go anywhere, so they're not going to tangle the rest of your rods. So there's the first tip. And then on the second bait I'll put down, that one generally mid-water. So I'll, go down a couple of sizes in sinkers and drop him down mid-water. Once again, that's either a slimy or a yakka or a pike or something. Cut the tail off, just in half a little bit on either fin, just so they're kicking like mad and don't really go anywhere. And then on the third rod, and the fourth rod if you do a fourth rod, but generally just a third rod, just go a really small sinker. Okay, cut the tail off again, let them basically waft in the current. So you'll have one down just a metre off the bottom, one mid-water, and one wafting in the current out the back of the boat. And that's a great way to find cobia. And the rigs I use, basically it's a rig I use for everyone, as you know, but this works really well for cobes. So I'll just unhook that. Once again, sinker straight on top of the hooks, okay, with a bead. So this is a big one. This would be a big slimy, a silver trevally, tailor. Make sure if you're using tailor stuff, it's legal size. You don't want to get in trouble, because fisheries will pull you over and you will get a fine if you use undersized fish. So make sure there's legal size, which is a pretty big tailor, but don't be scared. You're chasing big fish. They will swallow a tailor, not a problem in the world. And a trevally, easily. I've caught many big cobes on trevally. Okay, so basically that's it. And that's like an 8-ounce sinker or so. And like I said, cut the tail fins off, stop them swimming all over the ocean. So that rig on all your rods, just downgrade the size of your sinker from large to medium, from mid-water to small for free swimming. And here's 2 of my favourite outfits. Once again, for the big bait, trusty old Saltiga 24 kilo jig stick, okay? That's for the big bait, and I run about an 80-pound leader. That's 80. I always run 80 when I'm chasing big cobes. I'm not chasing small ones, we're chasing big girls, so don't be shy on a leader. 80-pound leader on my Saltiga, that's the bottom bait. The mid-water bait I usually have, that's the Butorium 20. That's got 15 kilo on it. Okay, and same rig, as you can see there, just a smaller sinker. And I'll probably go a little bit bigger than that, depending on the current. That's me mid-water. And when my third one is actually over there, it's a spin reel. I've got a Sustain 10,000. That's also got 15 kilo on it, a nice short rod. It's I can't think what the rod is. Anyway, it's a nice little Japanese rod. And that's got 15 kilo on a spin reel. And that's, I usually use like the unweighted one, just free swimming around on the surface. The next thing I will tell you, when I am chasing these fish, I don't go out chasing them during the day. You will catch cobia all day and for most of the night. But I can't stand crowds, a lot of you guys know, and being bugged by everyone. I like to go out late afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, catch me bait. I watch everyone head for the seaway, and then when the sun starts going down, I'm mosey on out to the spots. I've got 4 or 5 spots out here. I'll go look around at each one until I find the bait or see some arches and find what I'm looking for. I'll anchor on it, and just as the sun's going down, just on dark, I'll put live baits down, and I fish into the night. I find that big girls usually come to play at night time. I've caught many a fish 30, 40, even up to 50 kilo at night. Okay. Next thing is they do fight very similar to sharks, especially these big ones. So don't cut them off. Absolutely don't cut off thinking you got a shark, because 9 times out of 10 you probably haven't. It's just a big bloody cobia, and they go hard, like really hard. If you have got a shark, you'll generally know it, because I'll take off for the horizon and just keep going. Cobia won't. They'll go up and down and do circles around the boat and up and down, and just they'll stay in close. They'll do run, short, very powerful bursts, but they're only short. They don't keep going. They just generally go up and down around the boat and up and down, and they stay in close and just dog it out, and they will dog it out for quite a long time. I think the 50 kilo one took me just on an hour or something. That was on this rod on 24 kilo. I was frigged. That thing nearly killed me. 30 kilo plus fish, they'll all give you a good hard time. Half an hour, 40 minutes to land them, not a problem. They do go hard. Okay, the next thing, okay, one of the, what am I trying to think of? Oh, there is a bait that a lot of people don't know about and don't use, but if you like crabbing, here's a little tip for you. If you go out catch sand crabs, try and keep them alive. If you can't, keep 1 or 2 fresh, okay? And when you go out offshore, and say you go and snap a fishing or something, not so much cobia fishing, but snap a fishing out the reef or chasing jewel or something, get a jig stick or a heavy rod, put an 80-pound leader on it with only a very small sinker or even no sinker, okay? It's like a 10-0 hook, and get a sand crab, whole sand crab, leave the legs everything on it, okay? Hopefully live, if not just fresh. Put a rubber band across the shell, just across the shell, and then get your hook and just put under the rubber band, so your crab's sitting just flush on the bottom of the hook with a rubber band, and float line it. So drop at the back of the boat, put your reel in free spool, sit there and just peel line out. It's a very boring way of fishing because nothing generally eats it. But if that crab gets swallowed and goes off, it's a cobia. It's a slow way of fishing, but generally if it goes off, you know what it is, because cobia love sand crabs. And if you know there's been a few around, like you hear of a few around, it's well worth trying, especially where you've got a live bait in the bottom for something else, or you got a mate on the other side of the boat, float line if you're snapper, put a crab out. Not exactly exciting fishing to start off with, but if it goes, then it turns into real fun. It's this little trick I've learnt years ago from pro fishermen. They love crabs. I don't know why, but they love crab. Okay. The next thing is basically here in southeast Queensland to chase large cobia, like big cobia. Like I said, get them all year round, but the big girls, winter time, especially when the whales are here. When the whales are here, that's the time to go chase the big girls. They're here too. So wait till you get the nice cool westerly winds and the whales are all out playing, go chase cobia. It's a good time of year. And generally when we're chasing the big ones, they do like the coastal areas, like the shallow, warmer reefs. I do a lot of my fishing, basically, probably about 35 metres and less. I don't usually fish any deeper than 35 metres for these fish. Some of my best grounds are actually in 12 metres. I got the big girl, the 51, that was in 13 metres. So 12, 13 metres in close. They're a coastal fish. I love the shallow warm water and where there's plenty of bait. So you don't have to go out wide, so you don't need big boats for this. We run around in 4.5 metre tinnies at night time chasing these things. It's good fun. Just a bit of common sense and keep an eye out for the whales, that's all. What I look for, sorry, I'm answering questions too. These are questions I keep on getting asked. So I'm just got a little list here. What I look for, basically my spots, 2 of them are actually wrecks. I know I have 2 wrecks out here I get cobia on, so they love wrecks, especially ones that hold bait in close. And the other ones I've got are actually reefs, and they're in around 25 to 30 metres. And I've got about 3 or 4 in a certain area. And I'll go around them until I find a bait ball or one covered in bait. And then I'll look for the arches. Even if I don't find the arches and I know there's bait there, I'll go around all the reefs and find the one with the best bait. And then I'll sit on the one with the best bait. Because at some stage, the cobia throughout the night will show up. So go there, catch the bait there, hopefully before dark, or hopefully you can get some bait in close and go out and just guess you can't find it. Find the one with the best bait or the best bit of life, and then just sit on that reef and have baits have all your baits down just on dark, and fish till about 9:30 at night. About 9:30. If you haven't generally got one by then, you're usually not going to get one. So it's not an all night thing. Just pack up and go home about 9:30 or so, and by then you've pretty much had enough too. So yes, bait balls, baits, even bait, and just look for arches, but you won't always see the arches, but just make sure there's bait and life where you're fishing. Next thing is, people have asked me about gaffing. How am I going to explain this one? There's a couple of different stages of the cobia. It's hooking them, especially with big baits, trevally, so mouth baits. And you definitely got to get the hook set, because I have had many come past a boat and like just go and just spit the bait out as they're going friggin' past, like they weren't even hooked and you're going hammers and tongs. They're a pain in the ass like that. Second thing is get them to the boat if you do hook them, so they do go like the clappers. And they do really pull hard. And the third stage is gaffing. As you saw in a lot of videos, cobia, once you put a gaff on them, go freaking ballistic. Even if you've been fighting one for an hour, as soon as you put the gaff in, it's like round 2, they just carry like a freaking pork chop. So the best thing to do is wait till you got a good gaff shot. Don't gaff them in the body, because you'll lose your gaff. You'll always lose your gaff. You'll hit them in the tail or the body, they just take off. Always be prepared. When you get a headshot, go for the headshot and drag it up out of the water as quickly as possible. And if you can, if you've got a mate on board, have 2 gaffs. Have your mate ready. As soon as you see one gaff into it, the second one swings straight in. As soon as the second one goes in, guys, I don't care how big it is, just fucking reef it straight over the side of the boat. And if it carries on deck, well, it carries on a bit. You're going to get the boat bloody, but you'll have a big fish on board, so it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, gaffing, just have a good sturdy gaff. Make sure you get a good gaff shot in the head, not the body. Make sure the head. And if you can, have a second gaff there with a friend ready to go, because 2 gaffs makes it a lot easier to drag them over the side. I've seen a lot of fish lost to gaffing. I must admit, I've lost a few fish myself, fishing by myself over the years, gaffing. And whenever I've seen them hitting the body with the gaffs or down near the tail, even me, you lose the gaff every time. It just doesn't work. You got to get a headshot. You really do. And I know that sounds hard, but just be patient. If you've been fighting for 45 minutes, an hour, you're pretty safe. You've got them on. Just be patient. Wait till you get that. They come up slowly and you get a good shot. Just don't rush it. That's where you'll lose most of the cobia, is rushing on the gaff. Okay, what else we got there? Do they eat lures? Well, actually, yes. They do. I personally don't use lures for them. I know a lot of guys have caught them on skirts, and especially hard bodies and stuff up north. Not so much down here, more up on the reef. You do get them, and up in Darwin, I know a lot of guys that catch them on lures. But down here in southeast Queensland, they probably would respond well to lures, but you're going to be doing a lot of travelling, a lot of trawling, a lot of jigging with plastics and something to find cobia. If you're really dead set on wanting to catch a cobia, just go live baits. Live baits or fresh fillets, absolutely fresh or live baits. Lures, they will eat, but I think if you're doing a lot of casting, a lot of trawling to find one, to be honest. Down here anyway, go up north and you'll have a bit more success on them. Trawling on a downrigger forum, yes, that's a very good idea. I have done that in the close reefs, trawling live baits behind the downrigger over winter, and that has produced well, cobia around the bait reefs. So yes, that does work. If you're not lucky enough to have a downrigger, definitely put a live bait on 20 metres behind the ball and slow trawl in around your bait reefs and your reefs where your nose holding a bait. And that is a good way to find cobia, yes. And if cobia aren't there, you might catch a snapper or a gill or even a kingfish or something. So it's definitely worth a shot. I reckon you'd be doing a few miles, but it's definitely worth a shot, absolutely. What's this one? How do I set up a rod when fishing? Light, sinker, or heavy? Oh, okay, we went through that at the start. So that was just the question on the sinker sizes. So heavy one for the big baits, right down deep on the bottom. And then basically go half that weight, put one mid-water, then go a really small one and let it free swim. Or basically free swim at the back, 3 rods. That's an awesome way to find them. Just cover the water column. Cut the tails off, like just the fins, not the flesh, just the fins. Cut them in half, both up and bottom, and that won't kill the livey. They'll swim for hours, but they just won't swim all over the ocean. They'll sit under the boat and they'll just kick like mad, not really go anywhere. Throw out a heap of vibrations. That works a treat. That works an absolute treat. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. We covered most of the questions. As I said, guys, probably another month or so before it starts cooling off. Probably a couple of months before we really start thinking about them. Hopefully I can get out and do some nighttime trips, and I'll do some filming while I'm out there, and hopefully we can find a 30 kilo plus cobia or something to show you. Anyway, I hope these tips help, and if you enjoy the videos, please like and subscribe. It does help me out, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.